Hey guys, welcome to the Wild Show. I'm Upamanyu,
And I'm Meghna.
and we have got a great show planned for you. We'll, of course, be talking about the headline topic, which is about Florida's first bear hunt since 2015. We will also be talking about belugas that are being exported from Canada. What else do we have, Meghna?
We will also be talking about how animals that spread seeds are critical for climate solutions, as well as talk about how there's a new batch of 8 to 10 cheetahs expected to arrive in December in India. So, and if we have the time, we will be covering other topics. So stay tuned in.
All right, why don't we jump straight into the headline topic, which says 160,000 apply for Florida's first bear hunt since 2015. This is a report from AP News. How crazy is that? I think Florida's Fish and Wildlife Conservation Commission FWC will issue 172 bear hunt permits via a random lottery for a December hunt.
This is
Slight
probably this is probably worse than the visa crisis.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely true. Yeah, I mean, I think I read about this early on, like just before we were starting our show, so about 12 weeks ago, where Canada was doing something similar, issuing some permits for bears and stuff, but now I think Florida is doing the same. So the 172, the number of permits, is a slight reduction from its initial proposal. So obviously we wanted more. The people of Florida wanted more permits to be issued. The state, home to an estimated 4,000 black bears, received 163,459 to be exact number of applications for the limited number of permits for its first hunt in a decade.
I'm actually a little curious to know what is the slight reduction from its initial proposal? Was it 175 permits? Did it bring it down to 172?
Yeah, that's a good question. Yeah, I mean, I would say it would have been something like 500 or something, and then that would be my wager. But so
But we wouldn't.
187,
Okay.
187.
Because a slight reduction would mean So,
But
mm,
knowing how we operate, you can never know. This might be,
mm,
fluff piece for the government as well. Yeah, but anyway, it seems like the slight use of the word slight is correct here. 187 permits initially there was the proposal. It was reduced to 172. Um, Notably, many applications came from hunt opponents, including groups like Sierra Club and Speak Up Wikiva. What? Hunt opponents? What does that mean? Like people who oppose hunting, why would they apply?
maybe
Uh,
so that you take the permits that the hunters had to get, and then you
that's
block
a
the
good idea.
hunting. Yeah.
That's a very good idea. Okay. Okay. Yeah, there is a quote from the article which says opponents also sued to try to halt the hunt. Yeah, that makes complete sense. That makes complete sense. These organizations encouraged individuals to obtain hunting licenses and apply for permits they never intended to use, aiming to reduce the number of available tags and ultimately save bear lives. Opponents also filed lawsuits to halt the controversial hunt. The FWC plans to collect the evidence, collect and evaluate data from this hunt, which follows a 2015 event where over 300 bears were killed in 2 days. Oh my god. But this is a good idea. Like, if the 160,000, like I was surprised by that number, but now it seems like it might be like a good number because a lot of that might be like hunt opponents.
Maybe you know how they say that if you can't defeat your enemy, join them. So it might be one of those classic examples that okay, if I
Yeah,
can't stop the hunt, let me just participate, get a permit, and just like block someone else's hunting,
yeah,
whatever you would say, uh,
yeah.
hunting chance.
You'll have to be pretty convincing though. Like you'd really want to hunt. You'll have to have those quintessential pictures of with your guns and
Do
you
you
know,
know how the permit
on
works?
your
It
social
might,
media.
yeah, but I don't think the hunting permit requires photos and stuff. It might just be a
No,
form.
but like the government in the US, like the border patrol is checking like people's Facebook accounts for like their visa, issuing their visas and stuff. So they might also check your social media and stuff to see if you're actually an hunter or something like that. Like or you're just like a bogus person. I don't know, but yeah, just a thought. Yeah.
But I think the funniest thing is like I mean in the whole visa scenario and the mess that is happening, people have a lottery system to survive and stay, and here there's a whole lottery system to like kill, and this
Yeah.
has more applicants than than the visa system. Um,
I think this is a good place where that $100,000 fee actually makes sense.
yes,
Like
actually, you want to
like
hunt a bear, you give us money.
yes, I mean, and it's a win-win for the government as well. Like people with that money, they will probably apply for that permit, and the government will earn a very good, like couple of $1 million.
But we have to take
Um,
into account which government we're talking about because the current one doesn't believe in climate change. So I doubt, they will provide the $100,000 for this. Um,
but I mean, nobody hates money, right? Nobody hates money.
no,
Like
but
even if they believe it or not, if they are getting free money, like 172 times 100,000 or whatever number, even 50,000 or 20,000, whatever. I don't know what this permit costs, but I'm sure it might not be like 100,000 or anything. But like 1.7 million, nobody hates money. Governments always need money, so why not?
But it's not about the money, no. It has to also be how much the government actually loves its animals. Which reminds me, you remember, oops, I think this was about a month back in one of our episodes. Oops had covered this topic where it said that the Florida's black bears had just rebounded. It had recovered after years of being almost on the verge of being extinct. There were only 500 bears left. It was a beautiful National Geographic article, and they said that now it's finally gone up to 4,000. So, is it too much or too less? But is it a good enough number to actually propagate hunting again?
Yeah, that's my question. And what's to say that you know, like other societies or other countries won't follow suit? I quite like hearing this. I am afraid that there might come a day where somebody decides a random number is good enough, and then like the hunters of India are like invigorated again, and they say, "Oh, we want to hunt tigers again, or we want to hunt lions again, elephants again, or whatever." I don't know, but yeah, that because I
But
think nobody thought this day would come for like the black bears in Florida.
yeah, but I think also, oops, I think it depends a lot where there's a gun culture and a hunting culture as well. Like the
Mm.
hunting culture doesn't really, it's not something that's prevalent in, I feel like,
But
the
that
East.
also no, the hunting culture became non-prevalent in the last 50 years. Before that, hunting was like Maharajas and the landlords, even the smaller landlords, put out like posters, like took out ads in like international newspapers, to invite people to hunt in their little
I
patch of the
think
forest and
it
stuff.
was a very cream layer thing. It was a very cream layer thing. It wasn't. It came with privilege. It came with position. It wasn't really like something down the thing because I think again hunting is not survival, right? It was just a sport.
Sport.
So yeah, so which is why it was like for the cream layer, it was for the rich and privileged, it was a sport that the rich and privileged probably thought, which probably now is golf, you know.
Yeah, yeah. Um, yeah, but you never know. Like the rich and privileged might come knocking the doors of the Indian government. Maybe they're not the rich and privileged from our country. Maybe the rich and privileged from other countries may say, "Okay, let me hunt some tigers now." Um,
But also
I'm
I
afraid
think,
of it, but we'll have to cross that bridge when it comes to it, I guess.
yeah, I think the main issue here is, okay, even if let's say half of the applicants are hunt opponents, but even if you're saying that there's 70,000 or 80,000 people that have applied for 172 licenses, what does it
Mm.
tell about us as a species, as humans? I mean, we are that bloodthirsty that we want to take a gun out, shoot a helpless animal that's done nothing to you, like nothing, and you get that whatever ego, pride, there's this boost that, oh yes, I used a gun, not my bare hands, but a bullet, I shot it through it, and then I killed this animal for just existing.
Yeah. I mean, I kind of get the thrill, the thrill of the chase and things like that. But I mean, there are other game animals, smaller game animals that you can sort of hunt, deer, boar. Um,
I
I
honestly feel the only time hunting makes sense is when you're a hunter gatherer and you're actually hunting to eat it, not to just like show off, like, oh yeah, I hunted and this is my prize. Like, um, for the viewers who do not know, when you go and actually hunt a big animal in Africa, it's actually called a trophy, like a trophy animal when you hunt it, and you can cut the head off and you can get it on a plaque. So it literally is like a trophy, or like, something to show off, like a medal. Okay, look at this animal that I've killed. And I don't see the appeal for how it can be something that you can be proud of. It's not something you've achieved, like you've literally just been on a vehicle probably, or somewhere, taken a gun and shot. The only thing you
Yeah,
can be applauded for is your aim, but nothing else.
and like no, I kind of understand the appeal. I kind of understand the appeal of tracking down and killing a larger larger animal, or a more powerful being than us. I understand the appeal, but like so many other things that we've had to control, and the urges and all those other things we'd have to control and sort of curb down for living in a socialized and civilized society. This is one of those things that we don't really require it. There are a number of games that are available, video games. You know, Instead of spending whatever money to get this permit, spend it on a VR headset of some kind. You know, get a game that works well with VR and just hunt like that. You get some pretty realistic like guns and weaponry and all those different kinds of things that you can sort of use to simulate that hunting experience, sound and all those different things. And there are like game shops and game parlors out there as well, which sort of you don't have to buy everything. You just can walk in there and sort of have that feel for yourself. There
I
are
want to
niches like that.
I want to know from you, Oops, what is the appeal?
The appeal is like it's the same as you know being in that scenario of hunting, or in a war scenario. Like you have almost 50% or more than 50% of the top of the line video games are FPV games, which basically means first person shooter.
No,
So
no, no, no. I was asking, like you said, you understand the appeal to, to go chase an animal and kill
yeah, it's
it.
the same appeal as to kill another human. Like to kill anything, any living thing. to hunt and kill and outsmart any other living being.
So are you
That
saying
it's a very
like
primal appeal, in my opinion.
it's like anger management?
I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is, but all of us, like a lot of people play these games. I have played these games, and when you're like aiming at the correct people, like your opponents, it's a good time you can
Oh,
have. Like,
like Call of Duty and
yeah,
PUBG
yeah,
and all
yeah.
those, yeah.
Like all the top of the line, like top selling, the AAA is the rating for the top of the line video games, computer or console or anything. And all the top of the line AAA games, I think more than 50% are like FPV, which is first person shooter. So it's like, there's something about it. There's something about it. And
But
that's what I'm saying. Like,
I
companies, game developers should develop more games if this is a niche, like bear hunts or maybe some other exotic animals people want to hunt, simulated. Technology is there already.
it's so weird though, but these games you actually kind of hit and kill humans, but when it comes to real life, it's
Yeah.
never that way. It's all animals. But in the games, they actually want you to keep killing like the other
Yeah.
humans.
Yeah,
Um,
and it's also about skill, right? Like you are very proud of your skill in the wild, like your hand-eye coordination, your aim, like you were saying, um, how far you can shoot that animal from. Because also animals are also trying to evade that, because if you're hunting an animal which has been hunted for a longer period, they will be shy and they'll try to evade you. They'll try to. It's not a easy, like, it's not like you go sit somewhere and just aim at something and you shoot. You have to sort of put in a lot of effort into a kill. So like an animal I'm talking about, like a game animal. It's yeah.
I
That's the
think
thrill. That's the
I
thrill.
I
I
think
feel
it
like.
actually takes more effort to restrain and let's say just observe the animal or
Mm,
shoot the animal in a camera via
yeah.
camera, like just take a photo or a
Or
video.
even like take it in through your own eyes. I don't know if you remember, there was this film called The Secret Life of Walter Mitty,
Automatic.
and there was a scene there when Sean Penn, or when like Ben Stiller asks the Sean Penn character, why are you not shooting, like photographing that snow leopard? And he just says, some things are just meant to be observed. Some things are not meant to be captured in any shape or form.
You
So
know, there are memes on that. It says when bro forgets his SD card, so he's like making up excuses that, oh, I'm not going to take the photo because, like,
no,
make it
but
like really poetic. But no, it was a beautiful scene. But there are memes on that scene.
yeah, no, no, I know, no, no, I have seen those memes. They're hilarious as well. But yeah, but I have felt this in the wild, when I'm in the wild, and you must have felt it too. Like just observe it. Just I mean, shooting with a gun, very far away concept, but try to shoot it with a camera, um,
But it's
or try
also
to just
very
observe it. Just
it's
take it in.
also very iconic, or sorry, ironic, I think, because I think Oops likes to hunt,
I
and they
mean, I like the idea. I like the idea of hunting. I think it's something there inside a lot of people. I
see.
like the idea of hunting.
I think with the bears, I don't know what the appeal is, but with recently someone shared this article from New Zealand itself, how in one of the pest culling competitions it's doubled this time. So like all the families and the kids get together and they've gone out and found possums and they have actually shot them to death, and they've made a pile at the end and taken a photo. But I think we can talk about that next week. But it's just it's just like, wow, you can spread so much hatred to form a pile than actually, I don't know. But yeah,
Yeah, no, I think the appeal of the hunt is there, and unfortunately, we'll probably have to keep that industry alive for a long time. But we have specialized game animals that we sort of that are in abundance and that we sort of help to grow in numbers as well, because we want to shoot them later on. We know we wanted to shoot them later on. So I think this is one of those other industries like farming. It's a much smaller industry, don't get me wrong, but something that unfortunately exists and will probably continue existing. But
The only thing that irks me out about everything when we say that, oh, there are enough numbers, let's do this, is that why are there enough numbers of every other animal on earth? That, oh, this is overpopulating, this is invasive, this is infesting, everything else is a nuisance except us. Like, for us, I literally read an article last week saying that the birth rate of humans has reduced to 2.1, and we need a birth rate of 2.7 to sustain our population. And I was like, bro, what are you talking about? There are 8 billion of us, and it's projected to be like 11 billion in
no,
another,
but like sustain as in sustain in terms of like 50 years down the line or 100 years down the line, because it like we are at the peak right now and we'll keep growing and reach the top of this, like we'll reach the summit, but then after that it'll start falling, the graph will start falling. So that's what people are, that's the falling curve is what people are afraid about. But
how
yeah,
can
I
they be
mean,
afraid of that? Like, literally, going by how the planet is burning, I think it's good if the curve is actually falling, because I don't think we can survive that long. As I mean, the way it's going, people are going to find it harder and harder to survive on this planet. Did you see that article? I think there was an article today about how Ganga has is like as its precarious low, like the
yes, I
yeah.
did see that article.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so climate change is hitting us left, right, and center. We don't want to accept it, but um, I mean, we are actually like, oh my god, there are campaigns in countries saying, please have more babies, please have more babies, please have more babies, and then for every other animal, we are like, no, no more babies, no more animals. We're going to kill you and your babies. But
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, no. So if will if anyone is listening to this out there who works at a game development company, this is a good idea. And we are giving it away for free. This is a good idea for a game. Just build a game with like these exotic animals people can hunt and build it realistic. Like we have the technology right now to build it and, you know, keep like throw it out in the open. And there might be some, smaller titles already available. So yeah, check those out. I think far better than trying to kill whatever number of bears. Like 2015, 300 bears were killed. I don't know, this time at least 172 will be killed. Um,
I actually wanted
so
to know, like, is the permit on a day basis or is it per bear basis? And how do they keep a check on how many bears are actually being killed?
yeah, I think that is a good question that we might need to dig a little bit more for answers. But yeah, I think there must be some. Okay, so sorry, just on a side note, the permit permit costs $100 for Florida residents and $300 for non-resident. What the actual hell is that number? We were
I
talking
mean,
about
now,
100,000, and now it's like $100.
but
Like
it,
any era nattu kara can apply for that permit.
but I think that is why there are 160,000 permits, right? Oops,
Yeah.
if there was a big fees on it, then the permits would automatically reduce, because people are like, oh, I can just pay $100 and kill a brown bear. Why not?
Hmm. Hmm. Um. Yeah. So Florida, please stop this. And if you can't stop this, or if you don't want to stop this, make sure that people are not killing 5 bears on one permit. Make sure people are killing only 172 bears total, if all the 172 permits are issued to people who actually want to kill. bears.
The ideal
But stop
scenario,
this.
yes, the ideal scenario is to not do it. And I mean, a month back, what we read was they're still thinking about it. We did not know it would go through. So we were still talking about how there was opposition for the hunt and for the hunt, and that there were talks about the hunt, but we were hoping that no, the hunt won't go
Mm,
through. So this
mm.
is a little disheartening to note that the permits were actually like on sale or on display, as you may
Yeah,
call
the
it.
process has already started. Um, yeah, cool. Play a game, guys. Play a game. All right.
Hmm.
What are we talking about next?
Okay, so the next topic that we're talking about is that animals that spread seeds are critical for climate solutions. So there's new research analyzing over 3,000 tropical forest sites that reveal that areas with fewer seed dispersing animals store up to 4 times less carbon than forests with healthy wildlife population. The
Wow.
study found that 81% of tropical trees rely on animals to disperse their seeds, an ancient partnership now threatened by human activities such as deforestation, road construction, and hunting. Oh, so
Very, very connected, the two
yes,
two stories. Yeah.
yes, and researchers mapped global seed dispersal disruption, concluding it explains a 57% reduction in carbon storage potential across proposed forest restoration areas. This underscores the absolute vital role animals play in maintaining healthy, carbon rich tropical forests and their ability to mitigate climate change. As lead author Ian Frick notes, when these animals decline, the climate mitigating power of forests weakens significantly, impacting global efforts to combat climate change.
Mm. This is like seed dispersal. Like it's such an important aspect of any ecosystem. We don't pay it heed. Again, plants can't talk. We don't relate to plants that much, so we don't see how this happens. This is like an invisible process to us, but seed dispersal is so important. Like that's the lifeblood of any ecosystem, in my opinion.
And I think the thing that humans don't realize is that inside a jungle that you do not disturb, everything goes like a clockwork.
Mm,
The animal eats this, or this animal is eaten by this animal, and then it poops this, or it takes this there, or it feeds here, and then it creates a cycle that makes the forest also thrive and the animals also thrive. And there is like no need for
mm,
any, there's no, there will be whatever disease is inside the forest, but nothing new, like they're not exposed to new things. And they just exist beautifully together, like they're not
mm.
having anything that's unhealthy, so there's nothing where anything that can impact the forest and actually take away its power of maintaining that clockwork. But as soon as the human influence comes in, and then it starts impacting, then it impacts everything, because the animals and the trees, the flora and fauna, they live in harmony, so you're kind of breaking the harmony to reach your end goal.
Yeah, yeah. And any sort of, and it's that harmonious cycle. It's not very fragile. So if we think that is fragile, it's not as fragile as we think. It's only because we have exploited it for such a long period of time. It has become such a fragile thing now, where any little thing can trigger this devastating um, change. And it's only because of the year after year exploitation that has taken the ecosystems to that place.
The thing is, I think, oops, there was no mapping earlier of what human activities did. The research on what human activities do and how much impact it causes is something that's very recent, but from the time that we actually care about the climate, which which I would say is not more than 10, 15 years old. Like when we were growing up, we were not talking about climate change.
Mm.
But we talk about it now.
Yeah.
I've shared the article. It's a Mongabi article, and you can see this tapir. There's a photo of a tapir,
Mm.
and if I scroll down, it actually shows the tapir and the seeds that it disperses. So you can see the sizes of the seeds it's dispersing, like really tiny seeds to really big seeds. So even though a tapir is not a bird, it's a land animal, and even the land animal is like a huge seed disperser because it's taking the seeds and going to faraway places. So birds obviously have their own special place in the ecosystem, but even the land animals that are herbivorous and feed on the fruits and disperse the seeds, they're equally important.
Mm. Mm. Yeah. Elephants, you know, they're
Hmm.
very important seed dispersers. Every animal is which eat is a herbivore. I feel like they are can be a seed disperser in some shape or form. Just because they're consuming the fruits and the seeds do not get digested by any animal. So yeah, they will be excreting the seeds most definitely.
Yep. And the thing is that basically, um, in the forest, till you have abundance when you're not disturbing it, but if human activities happen, then it might cause like death of animals. It might also cause a disturbance. So oops, we spoke about this a few months back in one of our episodes, or one of our but I told you how there was this whole study about trees at the forest fringes and trees inside the forest. So the trees inside the
Mm.
forest were like healthier and they were straighter, and they were growing like without any disturbance. But the trees at the forest fringes, the same tree was crooked. It did not have a good look. It wasn't thriving properly, and it was something that was being exploited by humans for either wood collection or just because it was on the fringes and it did not have the same forest ecosystem, it was not thriving. So even if you just construct a road also, it would alter the way that the tree survives. And if there are lesser fruits that the tree gives, ultimately it leads to lesser seeds being dispersed, and it could also ultimately lead to lesser animals being born because there is no food security. And ultimately there are lesser trees being generated, like newer trees being generated, so less carbon sink.
Yeah, and that I think is the point of this article as well, where they're saying that the capacity of carbon retention has reduced from ecosystems, from spaces, and that is one of the top things that is threatening our environment, our Mother Earth right now. So yeah, it's I don't know. Um,
Um,
s-
if we see in
like
the article, it does say that there is one restoration project in Brazil called Corridors for Life, which has restored connectivity to fragmented forests in the Atlantic forest. And many
mm,
animals need connected forests to disperse seeds. Obviously, I mean, if there's a
yeah, I mean,
disconnect, the animals would not want to venture out, and put their life at
and
risk
like
and go to the other forest.
yeah, and like their migratory patterns, like they're not like animals are not like picking up seeds and saying, "Oh, we want to disperse this today." It's just a natural process, right? And um, it's just um, it is very easy to say, oh, the animals can go somewhere else. But if think about yourself, like if your routine is hampered, then you'll be like, you know, out of it for the entire day or maybe 2 days. So these animals, they're so in tune with their migratory routes, their travel routes, and things like that. If that gets hampered, then they're just spreading the things right there, which doesn't help. You need that long-reaching spreading of seeds and long-reaching spreading of different parts to different parts of the ecosystem for the ecosystem to be able to grow and thrive.
And the thing is, just like I think we spoke about in the ocean, like if you're going to disbalance any one animal or any one system, you're going to disbalance the ecosystem. Here it's going to be the same cyclical effect. So you are going to target the trees, it's going to target the animals, ultimately producing fewer animals, and then ultimately producing fewer trees. So it's a vicious cycle where you are putting the forest onto a deathbed by something as simple as giving a hunting permit, or saying that let's construct one road. At least we are still protecting the forest, and the forest stays, but there's one road through it. There need to be areas which are completely protected and completely off from human interaction.
Yeah, that I fully agree with that. And we have the saying, uh, both in English and Hindi, which says, "You give an inch, they ask for a mile." So that is what has been happening essentially with like forests, especially like forests like Amazon, which we can't comprehend the size of that forest. And then we were like, oh, we'll take some more, nothing will happen, it's a huge forest. Oh, we'll take some more, nothing will happen, it's a huge forest. And then we end up taking everything, and we don't even didn't even realize, oh, how did that all go away? It's like spending your salary. you know
It's the same story from the pink beach. You remember
yeah.
how everyone was
Yes.
taking just a little bit of sand? It's the same thing. Like now, everyone's like, on the one hand, it's actually very surprising for me. On the one hand, we say that, oh, our birth rate is decreasing. On the other hand, we have crazy development because now people want like bigger houses, bigger cars, bigger
Hmm.
everything. So there's like more pressure for more things, and we're not happier with the smaller things. Like I think 50 years back, when you hear your grandparents, they were happy without any phones, without any connection, without traveling, without anything. Like just the simple joys of going on a walk outside, getting fresh groceries, or growing your own food, spending time with your family. Like everyone was happier, even though you had lesser. And now you have more, but you're not happy. You just want more. In the what would you say, in the pursuit of happiness.
Yeah. Yeah. It's That is what has been driving all of these different things. So I think, what I would say, um my view there would be a lot more research needs to go in this, a lot more protection of these seed dispersing animals. They need to be correctly identified, they need to be ranked, and yeah, some sort of a protection plan that is completely out of bounds, as Meghna was saying, should be set up. No questions, no negotiations, nothing. But also these seed dispersing animals, it has a twofold benefit, as we found out. Like, you're not only protecting the seed dispersing animals, but you're also protecting the ecosystems they help build and help maintain as well.
Yep. And I think if we don't maintain, we're basically losing out on the oxygen we need to breathe.
Mm,
So I do not think we still understand that. It's the same thing that we said a few episodes back, that
yeah.
if trees gave Wi-Fi, we would be planting them everywhere. Too bad they only give the oxygen that we breathe.
Oh, that is a powerful statement. All right. Speaking of that, I just want to give you some news on the new species discovery front. Um, we are trying to do this, bringing some new findings every week. Let us know how you think about this. But eight new bee species discovered in Washington. 8 new bee species, previously unexpected, have been discovered in Washington state by University of Washington research scientist Autumn Moust, collecting pollinators in Chelan County for a study on climate and wildfire effects. Moust also documented 100 species new to the county. Expert taxonomists helped identify the new bees. Moust highlighted the critical implications for biodiversity conservation, stating it's difficult to conserve a species when we don't know its name or native range. Taxonomists differentiate bees using subtle morphological qualities such as wing veins, hair color, and pollen carrying hairs, scopa. This discovery underscores the state's rich yet often undiscovered insect diversity. Public involvement in bee research is encouraged through initiatives like Washington Bee Atlas and platforms like iNaturalists. And I think this is why we bring you these kinds of news as well, where scientific inquiry into these kinds of matter is very, very important. You want to choose another topic, Meghna?
Yeah, and I think with the bees, like they say that if the bees disappear, the humans disappear. So
Hmm.
it's actually nice that there are 8 new bee species. And
Yeah.
similar to that, there's one more species that has been discovered, a new species of finless snake eel named after Kanyakumari. So researchers from India's National Bureau of Fish Genetic Resources, NBFGR, Kochi, identified a new finless snake eel, um, Apterictus Kanyakumari, Apterictus Kanyakumari, discovered off the Kolakal coast at 100 meters depth via deep sea trawling. Okay, that's a
Hmm.
little disturbing that it was found via that, but its name honors the Kanyakumari's district's cultural, historical, and geographical significance. For those who do not know, Kanyakumari is the southernmost point in India. Um, and people usually talk about how you want to travel from Kashmir in the north to Kanyakumari in the south. So it's honoring that area. Morphological analysis, vertebral counts, and DNA analysis confirmed it as a new species. Um, and it's published in Zoo Taxa. The eel displays unique characteristics. The head length, uh, a 9.6 to 9.7% of the total length, a golden yellow body, a pale white head with yellow lines, and 3 black blotches. So let me just see if there's a photo of the finless snake eel.
I'm just
I'll just
sharing
share
it.
it. You
Oh,
sharing it?
okay.
Oh, okay, great.
Yeah,
You share
this
it?
is the eel. Um, yeah, looks a little weird, but yeah, um, it's a new species. It's a new species.
Yeah. And
All
I mean,
right.
yes. Do you want to take up the next topic?
I would love to. Okay, so belugas. Marineland. It's this is a what does it sound like? It sounds like a very adventure parky place. So
It
it
does.
is what it is.
The name is
Um,
absolutely that.
yeah. So Marineland um is asks federal government for permission to export remaining belugas. This news is from CBC. Marineland, the closed amusement park in Niagara Falls, has applied for federal permits. And people, most of the Niagara Falls is in Canada. So don't don't get surprised there. Has applied for federal permits to export its 30 remaining beluga whales. 30, that number is staggering. But anyway, the final decision rests with the fisheries minister Joanne Thompson, who stated it will be based entirely on health of the whales. What a politically correct statement to say. And I watched the video clip as well where she says it. It's such a, it gives me the ick. A potential buyer, Chimelong Ocean Kingdom in China. Again, sounds very adventure parky and Ocean Kingdomy, but is reportedly still deciding on the purchase. The park did not open this season, fueling concerns for its animals, especially since 19 belugas have died there since 2019. Wow. Okay. A 2019 Canadian law prohibits exporting cetaceans unless it is in the animal's best interest. Okay, again, Meghna will have a lot to say about that. But the last Marineland beluga export in 2021 to a US aquarium resulted in three of the five whales dying within 2 years. What do you think, Meghna?
I I think this is really really difficult. One, because obviously belugas are these whales that are only found in really cold areas, so we already have
Hmm.
very few belugas to begin with.
Hmm.
Secondly, with the belugas, it's one of those catch 22 situations here, because the marine park has closed, so they have to pump in money to take care of these belugas that are in these big huge pools.
Hmm.
But they do not have a sanctuary, and also there is not enough information to tell us how many of these belugas are actually born in captivity. So since there is no sanctuary, we do not know if they can adapt in the wild. So even just leaving them out in the wild is also putting them to certain death. But transporting them to another captive area, I don't know, thousands of miles away, is not a great solution either, because if you're just transporting it to the neighboring country US, and it has resulted in the deaths of 3 out of 5 belugas due to the stress, then we do not know how many whales would actually be alive by the time they make it to China, and would they survive in the same kind of climate.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I have doubts that, you know, even if one survives, that would be like, I'll be very surprised. That long of a trip, and you can see the size of the pool. This is like a human-sized pool, and then there are like however 30 belugas living in that pool. Um, Yeah, it's not great. It's not great. And I think marine parks are similar in its appearance. However big you make it, you can't replicate the sea, obviously. And so I
But I
think,
think I think the need of the hour here is that the government, instead of trying to push and see if they can send them to China, try to push and see if they can actually create a sanctuary in the ocean for them, like any
oh,
kind of cordon space that they can actually release the belugas in, test the waters and see if they're able to survive in the sanctuary, and then open it up so that they can maybe mingle with their wild neighbors. But that is the need of the hour, instead of being like, okay, China, you give me money and I will send these whales to you. And I think down in the article there's actually, it's heartwarming that the staff and I think people, the volunteers are still coming to feed and take care of the belugas, because the park is shut down. So there has to be
mm,
some kind of um, help or some kind of support required to sustain these belugas.
yeah, 100%, 100%. And like these belugas, like obviously because they're in a captive environment, you need a lot of work, and you'll be able to see on the screen how they're being fed and how they're being maintained, and obviously the pool needs to be maintained as well. The pool looks gross from the looks of it. It's covered with some sort of algae or something down at the bottom, but the pool will need maintenance. The belugas will need feeding and those sorts of things. And even though the park is closed, doesn't mean the belugas can be neglected. So, Meghna raises a very good point. Very good point. I mean, yeah, these
See,
if
I ideally think that if you have the resources to actually try to export them, then you have enough resources to just create a pen in the ocean, a sanctuary. Have the same people who were probably employed at the marine park, get them training of how they can monitor the sanctuary, and then see if the belugas are able to thrive in the open waters. Not really open, but closed open waters. Let's say that, and
like a pen, sea pen.
yeah, like a sea pen, like because you have these um how you have those salmon
Mm,
pens as well in the ocean, so you can have a
mm.
huge pen, like not a small one but just a huge pen, and at the boundaries of it you can always have the you can see, and you can maybe have some way to have small holes through it so that fish are coming in and going,
Yeah,
and
I
so that
mean,
can.
we have figured that kind of stuff out long, long back. So I think the technology is already there. It's just the intent that's not yet there.
And I think I understand that, Oops, because I mean the government would not want to spend more money because it's not getting
Mm,
any money. But with China, it's probably getting money because China is like, I will pay you this much for the 30 beluga
yeah,
whales. But so they would think, when I can get more money to just send these whales away instead of spending all this money to try to protect them and try to see if they will survive, they would take the easier way out. It's the same thing like the hunting,
but
I mean,
hasn't Joanne Thompson said it will be entirely based on the health of the whales? Quote.
yes, but it doesn't say in the interest of the whales, in the health of the whales. So she'll do a health checkup. She'll say the whales are healthy. Let's send them to China.
Yeah, that is. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that is how it will go. Yeah.
Yeah, I actually think, I mean, as science communicators or wildlife communicators, we would probably not think how the entire masses think. Even between me and maybe like you and our friends, they would be like, oh, they're just like these 30 whales in an aquarium, why would anybody want to spend that much money on them? But
Mm.
not everyone thinks of trying to save them and protect them, right? And
And in
anyone
a
who is.
democracy, it's like everybody's money, right? People will be like, "Why are you spending my money on this worthless thing?" For the group of people for whom this is a worthless thing to do, just build a sanctuary and whatnot. And if history is something to go by, those people outnumber the people who actually think the sanctuary would be a good idea. Again, hypothetical, but I'm certain that might be very well the
I'm
case.
I'm also worried, like, let's say that we make a sanctuary and then they thrive in the sanctuary, so they're like, okay, let's take the sanctuary off, let them survive in the wild. But these belugas are really, really used to like being around humans and interacting with
Mm,
humans. So my only worry is if they see a boat and they come towards the boat to actually interact with the humans, we do not know what the interaction would be like. Would it lead to more boat strikes because they would associate both with humans and they would want to go with the humans, be scared? Would there be a lot of different repercussions to actually releasing them in the wild? And belugas are really smart animals, and they anyone who's seen a beluga in one of these sea world kind of aquariums, they really interact and with their trainers or their caretakers. So
I think that's all cetaceans in general. Very smart, very interactive, very fond of humans once they get to know us. And I think we had tried this with Keiko, the famous, you know, killer whale from the film Free Willy. We had tried this to release it into the wild. We had tried numerous times with like negative reinforcement around boats, like you were saying. Boats are bad now. Boats are bad now. If you come near a boat, you don't get any reward. You stay away from the boat, you get a reward or something like that. But ultimately, that project, although it was successful for a short while, ultimately Keiko died in the wild. So and he sought human interaction whenever he could. Like, there's this beautiful story of him going to a remote village beach in Auckland. Sorry, why did I say Auckland? Iceland. And this family who lives by the shore, spending this wonderful day with Keiko, swimming in the ocean, and then sleeping to the sound of Keiko playing in the ocean and breathing. And then I think the next morning waking up to find that Keiko is dead or something like that. I'm not remembering fully. Um, there's a beautiful podcast from New York Times on this whale and its release and the movement that followed. But yeah, I think belugas are the same. So I think while worth doing, worth trying, we also need to be extremely careful of releasing these captive belugas back into the wild as well. Yeah.
Which is why the sanctuary has to be like a long drawn experiment to just check
Yes.
and then
And it
see
will
if
require a lot of money.
it will
Yeah.
definitely,
Yeah.
because it needs the research and monitoring, and it needs a cordoned off space,
Yes.
um, which most people do not like, because even if whatever amount of ocean or water belongs to you, uh, people don't like to invest the money into it because it is so much more money, uh, to something that you cannot surveil, like do the surveillance of easier.
Yeah. 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 It's a very complicated and difficult predicament these whales, these belugas are in. Um,
Yep.
and
So we will keep track of the story, and
mm,
we will let you guys know what happens ultimately. But I think my hunch and Oops's hunch is that they will be probably sending them to China.
yeah,
However, they do. I do not see a very amazing update on this. I still think it's going to be very bleak. But talking about relocating animals and exporting animals and importing animals, we can go to the next topic. What do you think,
yeah,
Oops?
yeah,
So the
absolutely.
next topic is, that there are 8 to 10 cheetahs, a new batch expected to arrive in December. India's cheetah reintroduction program would welcome 8 to 10 new cheetahs in December from Botswana or Namibia, with another batch anticipated from Kenya next year. Botswana and Namibia are prioritized due to successful past transactions from similar South African systems. India is simultaneously preparing two additional landscapes, Nora Dehi Wildlife Sanctuary and Bani Grasslands, Madhya Pradesh and Gujarat, expanding the total to four alongside Kuno National Park and Gandhi Sagar Wildlife Sanctuary. The December arrivals will likely go to Kuno or Gandhisagar, while Bani grasslands are being readied for the Kenyan cheetahs. Currently, India has 27 cheetahs, 11 translocated adults, and 16 born domestically across Kuno and Gandhisagar. 15 cheetahs are free ranging, predominantly in Kuno. Officials also anticipate new births at Gandhisagar following the recent introduction of a female to two males. Um, Before this episode, when we were scripting and we were coming up with this topic, me and Rups had a very heated debate. But I think this is exactly same, like the belugas, but in this case, we are not bound and we're not in a helpless state that we need to have this, cordoned off area or a sanctuary for the belugas. Where in that situation we had to in this situation
Mm,
we don't need the cheetahs, but we still have these areas. And for people who do not know, Kuno and other places, that have been cleared for the cheetahs, there have been human settlements that have gone bust. There are animals that can use that space because there's like 1.4 billion people here. There are like a lot of animals with cramped spaces, like a lot of wildlife with cramped spaces. We will not relocate the lions that are cramped up in Gujarat, but we would bring cheetahs from another country and give them space.
um, I kind of see this as not so much of a relocation. again, I kind of get your point as well, where you say, this is not unnecessary. But I also see the other side where I see this as a huge long-term experiment where we are seeing if the niche that used to be fulfilled by Asiatic cheetahs still exists and if that niche can be re-fulfilled.
I think there are a few things obviously here. Asian and African cheetahs were different. They are different, and they've grown up in different environments and different kind of climates. Primarily because Asia and Africa separated at some point of time. So the same animal that can exist on two different continents would have a lot of differences. Now, there's a lot of research to also tell how much difference there is in diet and climate and existence and everything. Just because
No,
you
but
can
Asiatic cheetahs also survive in, like, they are there right now in Iran, right? So they live in like desert, sort of arid landscapes, basically.
maybe in Iran they live in
Same,
arid
very same.
landscapes.
But
I
they are
think
Asiatic cheetah as well.
yes, but in Iran they might have been compelled to live in a desert and grow up in a desert. But in India, whatever hunting stories we know, they actually were hunted in forests, not in the deserts.
Oh, no, I don't think that's correct. I think they used to live in the arid grasslands of like Kutch and Gujarat and things like that. They were not coexisting. I don't think they were coexisting with like deep, like evergreen forests. That's that's the information I have. Um,
But there's also
I
one
don't
more
think
thing.
they were ever in like they were in grasslands, but they were not in like deep forest because they are not very tall cats. So
The problem is that
yeah, they
because
would just
they were extinct almost 30, 40 years back, we do not have a lot of information as well because there's not a lot of documentation or
hmm.
research back from there.
Yeah, but I think so the Asiatic cheetah, I think the difference is I think they are a little bit bigger in size. They have a lot more mane compared to their African cousins. The speed is still there. The shape, the face structure, they're still there. And I think they're like desert, grassland, arid ecosystems. That's where they
And
survive.
And I think one of the
Mm.
things that we actually did, and this is why, I think with the bears also, we've been talking because we drove the cheetahs to extinction, not only because of agriculture or, taking up their habitats, but also because of hunting. So cheetahs were hunted by the royalty, and the last cheetah was hunted down by royalty. And this happened in 1952. I think
Mm.
1947, 1952, whatever the time period was. But back when hunting was prevalent in India, and hunting was one of those activities that the rich sought out to do, it caused the extinction of cheetahs. Now, Ops says that there is a niche that we have to fulfill. But if there was a niche, we would have seen some kind of disturbance, or we would have seen some kind of um, area or something that we had to fulfill. Now, at the same time, when we're trying to fulfill a niche, we don't do it by cordoning off the animal in a sanctuary. I personally think of we would never actually release them
No,
into the
but
wild.
like we don't know if there's a problem because we have not investigated it. Like it won't be as obvious
No, there are
of a
two. There are
problem
two.
immediately.
There are two things here. One, we there is no immediate problem that we see any niche that really needs to be
Like we don't
covered.
see it, but there might be an underlying
Is it
problem,
is
right?
it urgent enough to bring cheetahs from another country, which are not even our cheetahs, that we drove to
But
extinction
why do we
to
want to
actually?
wait till like the last moment to
Why do we
till
need the
it becomes
cheetahs? That
urgent?
is my question. We do not need the cheetahs. Secondly, these cheetahs are just going to be like those belugas that can never be released into the wild because they do not know the systems here.
Hmm.
They're not aware of the climate, the temperature, the predators. Everything changes. The prey, predators, everything changes here. Will they
Huh.
actually be able to survive
I
in this
mean,
environment?
two predators don't change. There they have lions. Here they have lions. There they have leopards. Here they have leopards. Only thing that changes, they might come in touch with the tigers, but I'm sure they will figure it out.
They will come in touch with the wild dogs, which are the dingoes. They will come
I
in
mean, there are
touch with.
wild dogs in Africa.
Yes, but not everywhere. Not everywhere. The
I
African
mean,
wild dogs are again.
they are in contact with cheetahs. Cheetahs know about wild dogs.
Yes, but not everywhere. That is what I'm talking
I
about.
mean, African
Like,
wild dogs are painted wild dogs are bigger than.
what I'm talking about is that it depends on which country they're coming from, which country have those kind of predators. Here, dingoes are across a lot of forests, especially in the south. Like dingoes are very, very prevalent. So it depends on what kind of things you're used to. So it's one of those things like I was talking about in South Africa, when you have a private sanctuary, you want to bring these certain animals and place them in a certain way. We
Do you
actually.
mean a dhole? Dingoes are in Australia, right?
Oh yes, sorry. My bad. It was a dhole. The dholes are wild dogs. Yeah, I'm so sorry. Dingoes are in
Hmm.
Australia. It's a dhole, but with the cheetah project, it's more like a showpiece again. The same thing that for everything else, we just want to have this showpiece item that, oh yeah, we have cheetahs now in India. It literally is adding zero benefit to anything, not to the humans, not to the wild animals. There are lions
But consider
cramped
it
up.
just an experiment.
But why? Why can't we let the cheetahs free roam in Africa itself where they belong,
I mean, they
instead of
are
trying to?
free roaming.
We don't
They
know.
are. Why not
Again,
both?
again, it's like
You
let's.
asking why? I ask why not.
I'm okay. I'm saying why not, because it is just a zoo with the name of a sanctuary. If you're putting them in a big zoo, you're
Um,
taking wild animals, relocating them
like,
thousands
why
of
do you feel
miles.
they can't be released? They certainly. I'm sure, like in the next 10 years, they will be
I
released
will.
into
Okay, I'll
the
tell
wild.
you. So there's this whole, which that is why I picked up a total of 20 cheetahs. This is 8 from Namibia in September 2022 and 12 from South Africa in February 2023 were brought to Kuno. Since their arrival, 8 adult cheetahs, 3 female and
Hmm.
5 male, have died. 17 cubs were born, with 12 surviving. So there is this death rate that is not brought out to the public, and public feel that, oh, if the cheetahs are brought in,
No,
it
but
is amazing.
is that death rate on par or more or less than the cheetahs in Africa?
Yes, definitely. Because
Is it on
adult.
par? Is it less or is it more?
No, it is more in India because the adults have died. So in the wild in Africa, the cheetahs that are prone to dying are mostly the cubs. The cubs have the least survival rate because they're predated by all the other animals when they're really young. Even something like an eagle and a vulture can predate on them when they're really young. But the adults are not predated upon easily because they have the agility and the strength. They can be predated upon, but it's usually the cubs. Here, the cubs are protected, but because of the stress of relocation, a lot of adults are lost and their lives are lost. So you are stressing the animal.
But we don't know if it's a stress of relocation. Like, is there any research on it? Is there any
Okay,
statistic
why
that
why did you not question it when I talked about the belugas then? Why did you not question it then?
because they're in a captive environment?
No, but they were relocated and then they died. They were not dying in the
Because
in
they were
Marineland.
they were transferred from a captive to a captive environment,
Yes, but
and
did
they might
you?
have been transferred in a vessel, and they not might they must have been transferred in a vessel that is not a sea vessel. Like nothing can be transferred through water, right?
The whole
Can
point
they
is
be?
that when they transferred them, they would have taken utmost care because it was money being involved. When you talk about captive animals and when you talk about amusement parks or these sea world kind of
Hmm.
aquariums, there's more money
Hmm.
involved than something like this where India is spending money to bring cheetahs in. Now, my
Hmm.
point are two, three things. We need. India is not a country that spends a lot of money on its wildlife. There are areas it does spend in, but like Project Tiger and all, but a lot of other animals do not get the same kind of privilege or the same kind of treatment or the same kind of protection. There is,
Mm.
if the same kind of money that is being pumped to experiment to see if cheetahs can survive, that same kind of money can actually go into protecting and expanding the forest ranges for other animals instead of animals that do not belong here, have never belonged here, you know. And then we have other animals like the lions, which are
I
like
mean,
in
cheetahs belong here. Cheetahs have only been extinct for like 50 years and whatnot.
75 years now, if we're saying 1950. But either way, those were
Yeah,
different cheetahs.
75
We've
years.
spoken about it. It's not the same cheetah. It's not the same cheetah. The cheetah missing hasn't caused anything. Like even research that has happened recently, then nobody has actually advocated to bring the cheetahs. Anyone in the wildlife field will tell you that no, we do not need
Mm.
cheetahs. We do not need to spend that kind of money for a showpiece. It is literally a showpiece.
I feel like that's somehow not the case. I feel like it's an experiment, and I'll stand by it.
It's an,
I
I mean,
feel it's an
it's
experiment,
a waste of money. It's a waste of freedom.
and experiments are worth doing.
No, I think, see, I think that way, if you would, you like if I just sent you to Australia in the middle of Aboriginal tribes and you had to just stay in a closed pen with them just because they wanted to experiment on you.
But humans don't live that way.
No, I'm just saying, how would you like it
Like
hypothetically?
like hypothetically, give me an example where
You're
I'd be
not
really
okay.
uncomfortable.
Let's say you because you are
Like
not.
which can actually happen. Like which can actually happen in a human world. Give me such an example. Like which can
Someone
actually happen.
Where someone kidnaps you just to see, um just to do some kind of medical experiments on you, because they think that, why should we not, like, it's an
Yeah.
experiment. Would you
I
be
mean,
good with that?
if it's legal, then I think yes. But if it's illegal, then you know, this is not illegal, right? I don't
No,
know.
but the legality of anything and everything is decided by humans. So that is the
Yeah.
ironic part of it. So what you're talking about is, that, obviously humans, when it comes to animals, we would say, yeah, like bring these animals here, put them in a small space, and let's call it an experiment, and
But
let's
if
say,
this experiment turns out to be good, I'm just thinking, if this experiment turns out to be good, then it'll be such a beautiful thing. We'll
I
have this new species. If the niche has expired, it will have created its own niche, and we'll have its historic range restored.
now there are a few problems.
Beautiful.
Now, obviously, cheetahs, what they say is that the agriculture has, decimated their population along with hunting and everything. So if cheetahs stay in arid, dry areas, they are in like direct conflict with humans. Not even like the forest. If they're in dry, arid grasslands, they're in direct contact, and no human would want a cheetah roaming around. So this is going to be the worst kind of experiment. There is nothing beautiful about it. And I think Oops doesn't realize,
Mm.
what he thinks is everything is science, so let's do this. But he doesn't see the impact of it. He doesn't see the waste of money. He
No, I
doesn't
do
see.
agree
No,
with the
you don't see
human
the.
contact.
Yeah, you don't see the waste of money. You don't see how it is useless to bring in cheetahs here while you have a lot of animals that need that survival. Again, it's the same
Hmm.
thing, like, how Oops last time said that, oh, why should we not go to Mars? And I said, why should we not protect what's here? So it's the same argument from last time, that I would always say what is local first, concentrate on that instead of going for something that is not local. You do not have to spend that kind of money because money is limited, and conservation, the money is extremely limited. So you have to pump that money into wildlife that already exists instead of wanting some other wildlife that exists some other place. We need that money here to be pumped into a lot of projects. If you talk to wildlife researchers in India, everyone will tell you how they are bound by the less amount of money that the government pumps into their projects.
Hmm. I think the money part I can agree with. I don't know if this is the same money being used for the main conservation budget and the cheetah budget. The cheetah budget, I feel like they would have a separate budget. But anyway, we don't know that. Um, Yeah, money part I do agree with. There is better spaces and better ways to
And
spend
the
the
cheat
money.
and the cheetahs are just going to be kept in that sanctuary. It will always be that area. The maximum they can do is probably monetize it via safari so that people can go and watch the cheetahs in the sanctuary. But I doubt, and I highly, highly doubt it will ever be a wild release.
Hmm. I mean,
And
yeah, that's
you're taking this huge area in a country that's already extremely overpopulated, has a lot of animals that come into direct human animal wildlife conflict, and you were taking people's settlements out. Now Kuno and all had like these villages. They actually took or displaced the villages to create these areas for the cheetahs. So at the end of the day, it's a lose-lose situation. It's not a win-win for the cheetahs, it's not a win-win for the people, and it's definitely not a win-win for anyone, like even with the money for the government. So I don't know who is winning in the situation.
yeah. I feel like um, yeah, that's yeah. I don't know. I still feel like yeah, those resources and versus conservation
So
conversations
it's
still
always like
need to
this, Oaks.
be
So
sorted out.
if you
I
have
completely agree with that.
yeah. So I'm just giving you an example. Like if you have 100 rupees and there are four animals that really need saving, that stay close to your house, would you rather save them, or would you say that no, let me bring like this exotic animal from another country and spend that 100 rupees there?
Yeah.
And
Um
this is the problem with
yeah, I think
people
we'll have
everywhere.
to sort of follow along
And
the
it's
story.
not just with wild animals. I mean, we spoke about this
Sorry,
with
I'm
dogs.
just facing some technical difficulties where I am not able to hear Meghna on my end for some reason. I'll just give this a quick refresh, and Meghna, you can probably sort of keep on
Okay.
speaking for a bit.
Okay. I think
Yeah.
this also kind of resonates with the same topic we spoke about a few weeks back. So when we spoke about the dog population, so in India, people are obsessed with breed dogs. So there are these breeds that cannot even survive here, like Akitas and Huskies. Um, but those breeds exist in this country only because people want them. So instead of trying to save the local population by adopting them, we want all these exotic breeds. So I think the same thing translates to wildlife as well. Like we do not want to respect what is local. We do not have enough kind of satisfaction with everything that is local. So we go for anything and everything that is not local. So it's kind of a two-edged. It's not even two-edged. I would just say it's just an area not worth exploring, because there are these cheetahs that probably were free ranging, roaming, having the best time of their lives in, um, you know, what would you say, in Africa, wherever they were. They were surviving in the wild, they were in their climate, in their environment, and they were just snatched from there, brought to this country. And now they're kept in like a small space, and then we call them free ranging. Like there are some free ranging cheetahs, like free ranging chickens, like how so
Yeah, I don't know. I still believed in the spirit of the experiment, and if this goes south, then you know this goes south. Yes, we have translocated a few cheetahs. We can return the remaining ones back to Africa, but we have given it a try. We have given
oh,
it a try to build a population of cheetahs in India, and we can expect in 10,000 years or so, this population will become a different species
in 10,000
if it's
years or
surprised.
so, I don't think the earth will exist. There will already be a mass extinction and something else exists
I mean,
10,000 years
humans
down
might
the line.
not exist. Earth might keep on existing. So,
But there might be different animals if there's a mass extinction.
um, yeah, could be.
Either way,
Could
the
be.
cheetahs are live animals. They're not like ping pong balls that, oh, you send them here, we'll see if they survive. If they don't survive, you take them back. Oh no, no, I think they might survive. You give them back to us.
Yeah. Um, I mean, expect that. Unfortunately, that's how experiments work. But in this case, it is with live animals and live
Not just
fauna.
in this case. I mean, a lot of scientific experiments that people didn't know happen with live rats and live dogs and live monkeys and
I
live whatever
mean,
animals. So, uh,
rats are like vermin,
rats and humans share 91% DNA. Oops,
but they're like
91% DNA. How do we not respect them? 91% DNA. The
they
reason
cause
that
like so many problems.
uh, but the entire premise of our research, human based research happening on rats first, is just because we share 91% DNA. So when we
That is
experiment,
very misleading, though. That 91% is very, very misleading.
it is true. Check it.
No, no,
Google it.
no, no. That 91% number might be true and is true. I agree. But that 91%, when we say it like that, that means you add another 9% to the rats and they will become humans. That's not possible. And that they won't. Even when we say, like with chimpanzees or bonobo chimps, we are like 98% similar. What are you saying? Like you add 2% DNA in them and they will become humans. No, 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 no. It is very misleading, and there's a very good YouTube video which I will share afterwards in the
Wait,
pinned comment.
there are two things.
Yeah,
Wait, DNA doesn't mean your brain, your structure, or other things. DNA is the genome.
DNA doesn't mean anything. Like it just means how like organs are formed and how they function. Maybe, maybe
Yeah,
not.
so
Yeah,
DNA is just the basic structure of your cell or of your
yeah.
genome. And so if the basic structure is what we're talking about, we're not talking about how that.
Even the basic structure, I can't fully remember the paper that went into this, but there is a paper that actually sort of debunks this, and they focused on the chimp human um, relationship, like chimp human, sort of the comparison that we make. 98% of chimps, like our DNA and chimps DNA are the same. It's like having, and they give a beautiful analogy in that video. I'll definitely link it down below, at some point. But they say you have a script, and maybe two letters of one line match with the same letters of the other line, but the rest of the lines don't match. And we take this fragmented letters and say, but those two letters mean nothing if not for the entire context of the sentence. Um, so we take these individual letters all over the genetic code and say, oh, 98% of the letters match, but these letters are randomly placed everywhere in the complete genome, and it doesn't mean anything. Like 91% match, but what does that mean? Like, okay, maybe some shapes and organs are similar looking, which is like most animals, but nothing else.
But the thing is, I think, oops, while what you're saying is true, the problem here is, and it's not even a problem, but the thing here with at least rats is that we actually do our experiments on rats because the DNA is so similar. So it can emulate before we do human trials. So we do not do human
Hmm.
trials because we know that if it works successfully in the rats, it would work successfully on us. So we have that much confidence in the rats and then matching DNA with us that if it's
Hmm.
successful there, it will be successful here. So they are the scapegoat, they're the scape rat, whatever it is. But
Hmm.
but yeah, so that 91% DNA definitely has some kind of impact, because if we are able to successfully test on them and then successfully test on us, it's a big thing.
Yeah, yeah. No, I mean, I think that is correct in those respects, that we can sort of determine the safety of some drugs on the rats before we do human trials. Um,
But
yeah,
yeah,
that is.
uh, coming back to the topic, um, for me, it's a big no-no that cheetahs have to be brought in just to be a showpiece. That they would be in a sanctuary in an enclosed space. That we are spending all that money to keep cheetahs in an area that they are not local to, and that area is on displaced human settlement land and land that could be protected for other wildlife. So instead of
Hmm.
spending that money, that time, the resources on animals that are already local, that we know thrive here, that are great here, we are actually bringing cheetahs that were already doing great somewhere else. So for me, it's a big no-no, but Oops
Mm.
would say half
Yeah, I
yes.
think not fully yes, but I would also say like the experiment must go on. If it's in a reduced capacity, that's fine too. But yeah, definitely prioritize the animals here. But then yeah, prioritize this as well. Maybe not as much as the local animals, but you know, put some money into this as well. It's an experiment worth doing. Any experiment is worth doing. No, I would say that.
No,
Um,
I think
any
any
experiment is worth doing.
experiment that you want to do has to have some kind of motive, object, or long term benefit. And if it doesn't, then it's just a human,
But you
what would
can't,
you say?
before you do the experiment, you can't tell if it would have a positive or a negative or nothing
No, but you
impact.
can see the basis of it, right? Like if I'm doing this experiment, is it beneficial at all?
Like, how would have
Like,
things been invented if we went into things thinking of the cost benefit
no,
analysis
no.
first and then experimenting?
No, just the simple thing of do we really need cheetahs question mark before you do the experiment. Like then anything, like do we really need this? Or in life in general, do we really need this question mark? You say
I mean,
yes,
did
no,
we need
and then
smartphones? Did we need computers? We didn't need them at some point, but we have them now because of people experimenting
I
in their
think
backyards and garages. Do we need books? We did not for a long period of time. Now we have them.
yes, but think about it this way. There are things that we've done which have led to more harm than good.
I mean, we wouldn't know before we do them.
But the
Like,
cheat
uh, uh,
with wildlife, you still have like a good enough idea because it's not an invention. It's not an invention. All that you've spoken about are inventions, not discoveries. But with wildlife, you're not doing inventions. You're experimenting with something else. You're not really inventing a new cheetah.
I mean, did we need like modified
And
crops?
I mean,
We do
with
not need them, but we can't survive without them now.
no, we don't need them even now. The whole point
I
was
mean,
that we
can you
degrade.
eat a banana with seeds? You can't. Can you eat a grape with seeds? You can't.
Wait, a second. You don't get grapes with seeds anymore there.
No, no.
No, there are grapes with seeds here, and there
No.
are there are bananas with seeds here.
But is that the what do majority of the people eat?
No, what do majority of the people eat now is the question.
Exactly. So did we need them?
Do
We
you
did
know?
not.
Do you know that there are seedless watermelon in
Yes.
Australia? Like
Yes.
they just don't have seeds.
Do we need them?
Of
We
course,
did
we need
not.
them. Oh God, I think that's the thing. Like when it comes to human convenience and genetical modification, I do not agree
No,
with
no,
it.
everything, like everything that we have right now has come from experimentation. So to fill the human curiosity, we do all these experiments. So I think any experiment is worth doing as long as it's ethical and there is an ethics committee definitely sitting behind it. Ethical by today's standards. You can't like judge by tomorrow's standards or yesterday's standards. Ethical by today's standards.
Okay, one
Um,
again, this brings me back to the
yeah.
same problem. Like when we had these environment studies classes, our professor used to say the environment department is actually there to just pass or sign on all non-environment projects, like projects that harm the environment. They're just there to sign it, so they're not there to protect it. So
Whatever is the law of the land, whatever is the law of the land,
with
like we have to draw some line somewhere. Like we can't take the responsibilities of everything on ourselves. Like ourselves by as in main, like scientists can't be sure of this and this and this and this and they just want to experiment. Now every other thing, there are departments or there are people who have to do that, and they have to make sure that they do their job right.
no, what I'm
Scientists
talking
don't have
about
to make
is,
sure of that, right?
what I'm trying to say is that when it comes to animals, obviously the animals are not weighing in their opinions. So it's just
I
humans,
mean, that's just a
deciding.
given.
The humans are deciding the laws, the ethics,
Yeah.
and everything else. So it's the
Yeah.
humans, and it's not the animals that are actually
I mean,
weighing in
that's a
at all.
given, right, Meghna? That's a given in
No,
any
I
situation.
I think if you really want to experiment, then we really need to find a
Like
way.
that's the beauty of human dialogue, but whereas that there will be people with ideas such as yours, which will put the animals like conversations like this and points like this forward, where animals are not vegan, so should we really do this or should we just let them be? And there will be another group of people who will be putting in the opposite viewpoint, and whichever viewpoint wins democratically will be the
I
will be the
I
law of the land.
See, I personally feel if we're spending that much money into whatever we're doing with wildlife, the best kind of money would actually be to translate animal speech to human speech, so we
Ah,
understand.
I mean, research
And
about that is going on as well.
so if we are able to crack that, then we can ask the animals exactly what they want. And if they say that please do not ship me from here to India, then we have to listen to them.
No, but that will be a long process because they first we'll have to explain what this means, why we are doing it on a level that they are on par with us.
Oh,
But again,
but
that
again,
is a thought experiment.
this could backfire because you can manipulate animals easily. You can just show
Yeah,
all the
because
positive and
they
not
are
tell all
like
the negatives.
dumb.
No,
I'm
no,
sure, like,
no.
if they can speak, humans will be able to outsmart every animal out there. I'm pretty sure of that.
That's because we are manipulative and
Yeah,
shrewd,
yeah, yeah. Whatever be the reason,
and
we can
they
gaslight them and whatever be it, but we'll be able to gaslight every animal out there. I'm pretty sure of that.
that is because they are gullible and naive, and
Like they are with a lesser brain. That's why.
no, they're just purer, and we're shrewd and manipulative.
But being shrewd requires more brain power, does it not?
Yes, but that also will backfire because if the animals are trying to trust us, they cannot trust us.
No, they can't. I mean, most cases they can. Most cases they can. We are like, again, that's what I said. Like voices like yours is important, but voices like people who are advocating for um, these sorts of experiments and these sorts of different um, you know kinds of exploring the natural world is important as well. So yeah, I feel any experiment is an experiment worth doing, and I'll
So
stand by that.
I am going to completely disagree with the whole cheetah
But
experiment.
how do we decide which experiment is worth doing? You tell me this.
With the cheetahs, it was in your face that we didn't need it.
But what is the criteria?
Do we need it? Question mark.
Like, we didn't need anything. I gave you like multiple examples. We didn't need
Okay,
anything.
okay. Tell me this, Ups. Tell me this. You are not a big advocate of AI. We didn't need it, right?
Yeah,
Why do we have it then?
because we wanted to experiment.
That is what I'm talking about. Like our thirst of wanting
No,
something
I
is
can't.
not.
Like, I can be against AI and I can advocate against AI, but that doesn't mean it will stop happening. It will still
What
grow.
I think that the question is want versus need. Do you want it? Yes. Do you need it? No. That is the
Yeah.
entire premise. So we have to talk about whenever we do an experiment, do we want it? Maybe the answer would be 100 and 150% yes. But do we need it? Most times it'll be 10%.
Most times it'll be no, because we don't need anything, because before we see what this end product
And
is.
it's great. I mean, you know what they say? Something you don't know can't harm you.
Exactly. But so that's why we do all these experiments, to know what can harm us and what cannot,
No,
and what can help us
we
and what
probably
cannot.
we're probably
Like,
bringing.
why are we researching octopi where, they can regrow their limbs? Because we want to implement something like that in us.
Yeah, yeah, everything comes back to us. But the whole point is, when it actually comes to bite you back, that is when we actually realize that we do not need or we do not want this. Now
But
we made these movies like I Robo and other movies where we're like, oh,
mm,
the robots are taking over, and now we are at this place where AI is taking over people's jobs. AI
But
is
that's
taking
what I'm
over
saying. Like,
everything.
we can't stop experimenting because of those things. That's what I'm saying. That's my
No,
thing.
what?
Like, we can't say let's stop experimenting because we have created some pretty darn unuseful things. Like, we have created TikTok. Let's stop experimenting. We can't say that. Like,
No.
we will keep
So
experimenting.
I think the thing that you're missing the most out of anything in this topic with the cheetahs is that this is not an experiment. This is where they want the cheetahs as a showpiece. It is not even an experiment.
Mm.
It's where they just want the like it wasn't there before. There were never talks of bringing cheetahs here. It's not to fulfill something. It's not to see if they fit in. It's not for the cheetahs. It's for us and our pride and our, what do you say? Like, oh yeah, we have one more trophy animal. That is my problem with the entire premise. That if it was good for the animal, okay, I would be 110% on board with it. If it was like that last rhino that was in a sanctuary and we were trying to protect it, yes. But here it's not good for the animal, it's not good for the humans that were displaced, it's not good for the other animals that need that area. It's not good for anyone. That is my problem with this experiment. Or it's not even an experiment to begin with, so yeah.
Hmm. I mean,
It's okay. I think we can move on to the
yeah,
next topic because we will always agree to
we
disagree on this
should,
topic.
yeah, we should agree to disagree. Yes. Yeah. But it's great. It is great. Um,
No, it's not,
cool,
but
cool,
okay.
cool. Cool, 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 cool. What else? What else do we have? We can talk about the beaver reintroduction
Do you want to talk about
stuff.
another reintroduction, or do you want to talk about the size of the wild animals and domestic
Yeah, we can do
animals?
that as well. So, this is a report that was reported by Fizz.org, and it says 8,000 years of human activities have caused wild animals to shrink and domesticated animals to go. I mean, given, but a new study from the University of Montpellier, published in the Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences, reveals a significant impact of human activities on animal size over 8,000 years. Researchers analyzed over 225,000 bones from 311 archaeological sites in Mediterranean France, covering species like foxes, rabbits, deer, goats, cattle, and sheep. Their findings indicate that human presence has caused wild animals to shrink while domestic animals have grown larger. Sorry, I thought for a moment it was the population size and not the actual size of the animals, but that
No,
is quite intriguing.
it is the actual size. Did you when I told you about the topic? That's what I was
Yeah, yeah,
telling
yeah,
you.
yeah. I kind of sort of forgot about that, but it's the actual size of the animals that has reduced. Very intriguing, very intriguing indeed. And This research fills a major gap in understanding how both human choices, such as selective breeding, and environmental factors have influenced animal size over such prolonged periods. Scientists gathered data on climate, plant life, human population density, and land use, alongside bone measurements to track these trends and their drivers. The study highlights the profound and diverging influence of human actions on animal morphology. That is very curious, and I mean, we kind of know that we have had this lasting impact on the natural world
I
for
think where it boils down,
forever. Like whoever says that, oh, the you know people 100,000 years ago had more, they used to pray to the nature or whatever, I call bullshit. We've already, we've always wanted our surroundings to be harm free, and we have tried to achieve it by hook or by crook. So that's what I'm going to say on this.
I
So,
I
but
think see, I think primarily what has happened is, and this is what I think, it takes thousands of years and years and years for like an animal's shape and size to change, and it must have changed because again, food security and the
mm,
environment it is in.
mm,
So anything changes according to that. So for domestic animals, because they had a secure perimeter, they were being taken care of, they were being fed by the humans,
mm,
they were like, okay, I don't have to worry about being fed. Even if my treatment is poor, I'm at least getting food. It doesn't matter if they're beating me or they're tying me or they're keeping me in like small spaces, but I'm
yeah,
getting a lot of food. So because
mm,
of the food, and there is like and this happens with humans as well. Like if you
mm.
have easier access to food, you would see that
I mean, yeah,
humans.
we are animals as well. Like we forget that, but yeah, we are animals at our core as well. Yeah,
Yeah, so when we have food security, you're less anxious and you probably eat better, and
yeah,
you're plumper and fatter than people who do not have
yeah,
access to it. So it's the
yeah.
same thing with animals, and probably that over time and over time and over time caused a change in their shape and size.
Yes, I think that again, we haven't sort of fully understood the science behind it as well. We haven't sort of we've only skimmed over the research paper, and the scientists who have worked on this might be able to tell us more. But yeah, food is a very polarizing driving factor. Some of us might remember Part, who was on our last episode as a special guest. He was saying that about the macaques of Great Nicobar Island as well. And yeah, it's a polarizing and it's a very swaying thing, food. And yeah, we kind of, like, everything we do is for food, and so does every other animal. So yeah, that might have played a big role in this of shrinking animal sizes. How curious is that? How curious is that?
And I think in the article, if you have shared the article already, it says the research team's findings reveal that for around 7,000 years, wild and domestic animals evolved along similar paths, growing and shrinking together in sync with their shared environment and human activity, which is really interesting. For 7,000 years, it was fine. However, all that changed around 1,000 years ago. Their body sizes began to diverge dramatically, especially during the Middle Ages.
Hmm. Because we were civilized then, we were living in larger societies then, and we wanted our chickens to be bigger, our cows to be bigger. So I think also, like, when we started, I think we went into this in depth on last episode, so go check that out if you haven't already. But when things started getting from sharing the same resources available, as the Jarvas or other tribes in the Andamans do, to exploiting the resources. Um, I think that's when things changed. So if you had a bigger chicken, you would get more money in return for it. So that means there you have incentivized for the farmers to create a bigger chicken.
It's not just, I think, you get more money, but it feeds more people, or it feeds, like, even if, let's say, one person,
But do
it
you think a
feeds more.
farmer's that selfless? Like farmers thinking like that? I don't think so.
No, I'm talking about from both sides. It's like a win-win situation, because if you're growing a bigger chicken, even if it's not good for the chicken, because the chicken cannot stand on its own two
But
legs
who
with
is
that
thinking
kind of
like
weight.
that? Like it will feed more people. Who is
No, no,
thinking
no.
that?
I'm just saying, in a human perspective, like, if they're growing
Ah,
bigger
okay.
chickens, if they're
Like just
growing bigger,
observer, like
yeah.
a yeah, from a yeah, okay.
I mean, if you're growing bigger chickens, then it is something which is probably something that even the humans would go for. Oh, bigger size wings, bigger size thighs, bigger size. So it is something that is also really lucrative for the humans buying it or purchasing it, not just the
Mm,
people growing it.
yeah, yeah. No, but like the incentive is that more money and you can sell it at higher rates.
But it's very
Um,
interesting to know how much impact we have on everything. So once we started
mm,
breeding and
mm.
selectively breeding, which we know even with dogs and bulls, what we've done. I mean, we've crossbred to the extent that um, we have breeds like pugs that have a problem breathing just regularly, and
And chihuahuas who exist in rich
handbags.
ladies' purses and
Yes,
handbags.
yes. So
What the hell?
we've done a
A
lot of
wolf
selective
in a
breeding.
purse.
A wolf that nobody is scared of, even if it barks its head off.
Yeah.
So like my friends here, they have a pet Shih Tzu, and sometimes he just doesn't like one of the people, and he would start barking. But he just looks so cute barking that if you just like grab his face, like he'll just stop for 2 seconds because he doesn't know what's happening, but he wouldn't do anything about it. So I mean, to imagine that a wolf is like that, when it barks, you can just hold and grab it and be like, oh, it's okay. Yeah, we've done some serious damage, but.
Yeah. Um yeah, but this is very curious and now we have research proving that this is the case. Um I don't think anything we can do about this, but yeah,
No,
still
it's
very
it's basically, we entered into the system. We thought which animals should get more priority in growing. It's not about the treatment, but it's more priority about which animals do we need more than the others. So the animals we didn't need, obviously, we started like raising down forests, creating pastures. So the animals we needed got that kind of area, and the animals we did not need did not have that area. So they started struggling to survive, and their bodies probably automatically shrunk, while the animals that were thriving in our environment, they started growing because they were like, why not, we're getting everything.
yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah. So it has been selective breeding and um selective preference being given to animals for a long, long period of time. Um, yeah, it is such a curious and interesting sort of piece of research, and yeah, I don't. Yeah, we'll have to see what kind of applications this has, or but it's a great research in terms of advancing um our understanding our understanding of how we have impacted the natural world. Cool.
Yes.
Um,
If we have
what?
time for one more topic,
Yeah,
then
we
i
do. We
would
do.
i would want to cover the pet sharks one before the
Yeah, definitely.
beavers.
Let's
Yeah.
go for that. Yeah.
Okay. So this is an article from Monga Bay again, and it says pet sharks have become cool. but is owning them ethical? So, shark ownership is a growing trend, no longer limited to the wealthy, but now popular with middle class aquarium hobbyists. A burgeoning
Mm.
industry serves this demand, making smaller bottom dwelling species like bamboo and cat sharks easily available online, with some costing as little as $90. Even
Mm.
endangered zebra sharks are sold for thousands. However, experts warn this trend is harmful to the animals. They emphasize that most home aquariums are critically inadequate and too small for sharks. This improper confinement leads to severe consequences for the creatures, including stunted growth, physical deformities, and ultimately a shortened lifespan and premature death. While some owners find the experience calming, the cost to the shark's welfare is significant.
Mm.
Um, and obviously, the discussion question for this is, where is the ethical line between admiring wild animals and owning them as status symbols? So
Yeah.
I think it kind of ties up to the last topic, because you're confining them, and this is actually leading to stunted growth, physical deformities, and a shorter lifespan. So this is talking about how we're impacting. Secondly, I think we've spoken about sharks a lot, about how you need the predators in the water. We need to stop taking them out. We already had these problems with shark finning and
I
eating
mean, they're still
sharks.
in the water. You mean the ocean, right? They won't survive without the water, but you mean the ocean.
Yeah, in the ocean or the sea. That's what I
Yeah.
mean. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, we're actually decimating wild populations. And first, it was for food, and
Mm.
for the fin soup and for the meat. Now we're actually saying, oh, let's just keep them in an aquarium, and oh, I feel very good about it. My experience is very calming to see that shark struggle inside the aquarium.
Yeah, I think aquariums, yeah, it's a whole group of people who are like aquarium, um, you know, aficionados,
Hobbyists, that says here, hobbyists.
hobbyists. But yeah, it's a whole group, and they're very serious about their aquariums, and they're very caring of their aquariums. But obviously, these sorts of things needs a deeper understanding of the science of the different characteristics of a species, etc. So yeah, why not just buy the fish that are like specially rated for aquariums?
I don't know. I think the thing also that has happened is that, let's say there are sharks that are available for $90. That's probably
Hmm.
nothing. So there
Yeah,
was probably
that's
a
true.
time that these sharks were really expensive, so not everyone had them. It was
Hmm.
limited to the wealthy people. But now, with the
Hmm.
purchasing power parity, with the kind of salary that you can get, everybody wants to own everything. Whatever they
Hmm.
thought of was a dream is now reality. So now you
Hmm.
have, like it's saying, it's popular with middle class aquarium hobbies. So there are these people who are now like, okay, if I can spend $100 and get a shark in my aquarium, why should I not?
Yeah.
They do not see what impact it has for the sharks. So all the hobbyists who have these aquariums, or these kind of hobbies, they probably take care of their animals well, but they do not see if it is actually in the best interest of the animal to be in that confined space, which is ironic, because they care for that animal, but they do not care for the animal enough to see if it actually should belong there.
Hmm. Hmm. And I think also there should be like strict guidelines around these things as well, because we know that if there are not, then yeah, we will do all these different kinds of things, whatever we need to do, whatever we feel like doing, basically. So yeah, stricter guidelines around these, um what is
Ownership
okay.
of sharks, yeah.
Yeah, what is okay to own and what is not. Obviously sharks probably are not, um but again, there might be a criteria for that. You own a big enough aquarium, you can probably own it. But yeah, worth giving that a shake from the legalese perspective as well.
Also, I think the thing with a lot of sharks that people do not understand is that sharks are migratory patterns. Sharks do not just stay in one place. If you go diving, you would hear of, the local guides and the local divers telling you that there are seasons, or there are times when you see like hundreds of sharks in the same area, and then they would just go kaput and they're not there, and then they
Mm,
return back. So sharks have migratory patterns, and it's not limited to one shark or two shark species. All sharks are migratory in nature, so when you put them in an aquarium, you're actually taking that entire aspect of their actual innate behavior away from them. You're not letting them explore, you're not letting them migrate, which is something that they do. And I think we've spoken about this earlier also. It's the only two animals I actually think that have been domesticated to the extent that you can have them as a pet are dogs and cats. Nothing
mm,
else has been domesticated to that extent that you can have them as pets.
mm, mm.
And
That is,
I've shared the
yeah, that I kind
article
of.
and the photos. So these are like these cat sharks that are in the coral reef.
Mm,
um, and these are a nurse shark that is resting among the coral reef.
mm,
um, and these are all different kind of shark. This is a tasseled wobbegong shark, also called a carpet shark, because it looks like a
mm,
carpet.
mm.
um, but these are all like sharks that we are.
Beautiful, beautiful photos as well.
Yeah, very beautiful photos. And yeah, so there are all these sharks. So see, these are these epaulet sharks that have been kept in one of the aquariums in Arizona. And
Mm,
people are looking at these medium sized sharks to keep in their aquariums. um, at the cost of the shark's health. So like, the shark would be there, the shark might not live long, and you're killing the shark, and the shark could have survived in the ocean and done its thing. So we now have two threats to sharks. It's not just the fishing or the trawling or the meat or the fins, it's also that people want to own them.
mm, mm. And keep it on display. Um, yeah, it's a tricky one as well. I feel like with the legalese and with people's applying for 163,000 permits for 172 available ones. It's, yeah, it's a tricky one to curb that. Oh, they have it. Why can't we have it? We'll give you money and you know we'll get one. So it's a tricky one, but definitely a lot of countries are doing it. You know, getting these guidelines in place so that, yeah, sort of where to draw that line. Where is the ethical line? Ethical, moral, and also like, ecological um, line to draw.
Yeah, but I mean, I highly doubt that there is any ecological line that we draw with a lot of animals. It's only
Hmm.
when like there will be a few cat sharks left or a few zebra sharks left is when we'll finally say, oh, you cannot own them anymore. And then there'll be like
Hmm.
illegal poaching and illegal supply and illegal demand, because we've already created that niche for it where we're telling people it's okay to own them. So there it
Yeah.
will cause like a waterfall of problems. Starting from here, it's
Hmm.
not going to be good for the sharks.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I think that's a great point. So we are reaching out through our show to all the governments and all the people regulating, because there are some aquarium rules, definitely, most definitely, for every country, to update those and to reflect that these kinds of species of sharks won't be allowed. And take some expert advice, man. Take some advice from the actual experts. Um, yeah.
Yeah, i
So,
think I think that is the thing. Again, like, because animals are low on priority for us, we do not want to see if it's great for them or not.
mm,
We just want to see that you know that, yeah, if people have it, so they have it. We only care
mm,
about them when they're on the verge of extinction. We do not care about it before that. And it is actually quite appalling to know that people want to own animals that do not belong in that kind of a space. But then
Hmm.
it's not surprising, because we know that we want things that we cannot have, or like,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That drive has, I wouldn't lie, like that drive in us wanting things that we can't have has caused a lot of development as well. But in this case, it's a very bad thing. So I think that would be our, you know,
take. I mean,
appeal.
I would in general just I've never understood the appeal of an aquarium to begin with,
Mm.
because you're putting animals that free roam huge areas of an
Yeah,
ocean into a. Now obviously some people say that there are
I
fish.
haven't either, but yeah, no, I'm sure a lot of people out there, find it meditative
Yeah, that's what
and
they said
calming.
about. Yeah, that is exactly the reason. But I mean, I don't know. Some people actually justify it by saying that there are like a lot of fish now born in captivity, so they're meant for aquariums. But we've created
Yes,
that
that is what
cycle.
I was saying. Like, go get those fish, man. Like, why are you trying to get all the? Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
I
but
kind of know why, but yeah,
it's a cycle. Now they've created a cycle of captive fish by keeping them in aquariums. I've never.
yeah,
I mean, I actually go to these aquariums and I feel bad. Maybe oops, it's one of those things, because you don't want to go into the ocean because you're scared of the ocean. Let's bring a small part of the ocean and keep it on your table.
maybe. I no, I don't get the point of aquariums as well. Um, yeah, somehow I don't get it,
But if you have
but
listened to our show and uh, you know it resonates with you even a little bit, then I
uh,
mean, please don't
and
get
if you have a
sharks.
strong opinion on any of the topics we talked about, let us know. Let
Yes,
us know.
but also please listen to our strong opinions, and don't keep sharks in an aquarium. Please let
Yeah,
them be in the
please.
wild. Please
Yeah.
let wild animals be wild. But talking about that, what is the most exotic pet you have ever heard, or what is the most exotic fish you have ever seen in an aquarium? Please let us know in the comments, and please let us know what you thought of the show. Just like Oop said, if you have an opinion on anything, like last time, we really appreciated the comment on the sharks, and we gave the reply for it. We spoke about how India is still one of the biggest shark exporters. So we love those kind of comments that challenge what we are talking
Yes.
about. So please do that. And
And yeah, we should sort of probably draw an end to today's show right now. Goes without saying, but to subscribe and follow on all our different platforms really helps us, get this show out to more and more people, which is the intention of this science communication and this type of, dialogue that we want to have. And if you're listening to the recorded version of this podcast, give us a rating and tell us what you think in your favorite podcasting platform. But other than that, that's it for today. We'll see you next Sunday, same time, same channel. Have a good one, guys.
bye bye.